Trevor or Jennifer or somebody give me a better explanation of how that all works and is it out of the, how do we collect that? Where does it come from?
It's been paid by ratepayers. What those costs are, when you're sizing your system, you may upsize the system a little bit in certain areas to provide fire protection, but not necessarily for the potable needs. So that incremental cost to upsize the system has been borne by ratepayers. But in Lane versus Seattle, that concept was challenged, and that incremental cost to provide for the fire protection isn't to be borne by ratepayers, it's to be borne by the general tax dollar, the general public, the community as a whole, and not necessarily the ratepayer. So some other pieces of that, what we're calling fire protection, are hydrant maintenance, hydrant replacement. There were a couple other things, Trevor, you mentioned that kind of get wrapped into that.
Yeah,
System upsizing.
we actually had a phased-in approach, because Karen had brought it to our attention with Lane versus City of Seattle, and it's spoken to the city attorney as well, so the 50,000 was just around maintenance for those hydrants and replacement, as well as storage adapters, things like that we put on those hydrants that are sometimes aftermarket. And then the full cost recovery, the 160,000 and change, is for the upsizing and storage capacity, like our Zone 4 reservoir, what portion of that reservoir would be for fire protection for low pressure zones.
So where did they come out of, the water end of it, or did they come out of a system development charge?
For the cost for fire
Because
service?
when I first read this, I was trying to get my head around it, that previous fire chief said, well, we should join the fire district because we can charge the industrial park for services, and that's not what we're talking about here. But where do you collect those dollars from then?
Currently?
In the development charge, the system development charge, or?
No, it's in the monthly rates or bi-monthly rates. Yeah, from the ratepayers, not from system development.
If you broke it down far enough, RJ broke it down, we would see that piece of the water bill that comes out for the fire protection.
Yes.
Yes.
Now, the way we set it up was a 50,000 placeholder for 2010 to acknowledge the case law and take the first steps towards limiting exposure, basically, for hydrant maintenance and repair. The full phase in on what FCS is recommending, and correct me if I'm wrong, is to completely capture that and acknowledge it in the 11 budget for full fire service, not just maintenance and repair on hydrants.
So my house is 15 years old, and I pay a water bill every month, every other month. There's a portion, it's not associated with this, with building, it's associated with that bi-monthly payment. There's a portion taken out of that.
Yeah.
That goes into.
That's not itemized, similar to the utility tax that's built in to your bi-monthly bill.
Okay.
Similar
I
to
just
fire
have never
service.
seen that, so I wanted to make sure.
Michael, go ahead.
I've got a question along these lines then, and I think I know where you're going with this, because, or at least let me add on to it. If the objection originally with the lawsuit was that the ratepayers were paying for that fire protection service, then if we tack on this utility tax, are we still doing the same thing?
Yes, it's simply a legal requirement that you can legally no longer recover it from rates, but you can legally recover it from the utility tax. It's simply a legal requirement. Yeah, yeah,
And I
yeah.
think this is an extremely important part, especially as we go into the budget portions and the budget approvals, for the council to certainly understand. If, as it is now, what we'll need to do in 2011, if you don't care to do the tax, and I understand the implications of the word tax, with the 162,000, say we're looking at a $300,000 deficit for 2011, your deficit just went to 462,000. If you enact the tax, and I think a good analogy earlier today was it is a little bit of smoke and mirrors, but it's legal smoke and mirrors. You avoid that $162,000 hit to the general fund to pay that. The ratepayers are still paying it, but they're not paying any more than they would have paid without that tax in there.
So a follow-up question then, though, is since it is a tax, does that tax apply to anything other than the water and sewer bill?
This is the water utility tax, and it's applied to the revenues for the water utility, yeah.
Just water.
And we probably want to make sure that we've got strong language in there as that's adopted, if you care to go forward at that. Like I said, the other effect, if we don't go forward with it, is we just exasperate our problem a little bit more in there and collect less as we go, so.
And again,
Well,
maybe.
Actually, you collect more, you just can't use it for it.
Maybe just to clarify real quick too, just based on your comment, the 16.4% would be the new water utility tax. Sewer would remain at 10.
So, to summarize, the way we were doing it was, to some degree, the water utility was supporting the fire service.
Fire protection.
But by law, fire protection is a general fund item, not a water utility item. However, a utility tax is a general fund revenue. So by calling the same amount of money officially a tax and transferring it to the general fund, we are now, as a matter of law, no longer using water utility funds for fire protection. It's all coming out of general fund, which it needs to do as a matter of law.
You're correct. And there's still a step farther, the general fund will take and give it to the water service.
Exactly.
Yeah, portion.
Exactly, right.
But it's legal
Right.
today.
The joys of funded enterprise accounting.
At least there is a way out of it.
Oh, yeah.
Other questions?
At least we don't end up with a Lane versus Washougal.
Hopefully.
That's the goal.
Anything
Thank
else?
you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Very good.
Fighting the parking lot, Trevor versus Ross.
That's good.
So that is RJ's zippy thing, so we don't want to take that from him.
Okay, now after a little bit of a delay, we're going to come back to the agenda for public comments for any folks who are wishing to make comment to the council this evening. Mike?
Mike Briggs, just in comments to the recent information, there wasn't a lot of numbers after this, like Mr. Warner said, but I can follow it. What I think the city has to worry about in terms of the people that live here, just like with me, is, again, well, what's this gonna cost me? 13%, what is that, it's $2 more a month, okay, stuck with it. More importantly, this community is right in the middle. I like that comparison the best. We're pretty much right in the middle between like a Vancouver and then an Arlington or there's Washougal in there in Ridgefield. So sales-wise, I mean, trying to market our town, we're right in there. We're not getting, nobody's getting screwed, if you excuse my French, here any more than anywhere else. One thing I would be curious about is the numbers in Portland or Troutdale. See what another state has right next across the river, how that affects us. But in essence, prices are going up for a variety of reasons. One was a stormwater thing, which was a federally mandated clean water. We're all stuck with that. So as long as the residents know that this is just and it's the law and we're stuck with it and we're making the best we can by going over a 5-year projection like that, balancing out, I think it's good business. As long as the city goes to the people and says,